This dog ain't going to hunt, man. I wouldn't go down this road. There are great ways to frame the goals of the administration on the issue of tariffs and trade. But telling people how many toys to buy their children is not the thing that's going to work. It's not. And I say this as somebody who is down with the policies of the administration and what they are attempting to do. And I'm hoping like heck they have great success because the country is going to be better off for it and the rest of the world is going to be better off for it, especially as it relates to China. So President Trump sits down yesterday with Kristen Welker, Meet the Press, and she asked him about this kind of offhanded comment he made, a week to 10 days ago when he was asked about, the price of toys in particular going up because 4 out of 5 toys that we buy here in the United States made in China. I hate that. Trust me. I mean, I've got 3 little kids, 6 and under. I see it all. And we're not like, listen, they have toys. Don't get me wrong. But we are not inundated with toys, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. That's just not how our house looks. But a lot of the crap's made in China. There's no way around it. So Trump gets asked about this yesterday by Kristen Welker and says this.
You said this week, got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls. Because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have $3 instead of $30, are you saying Americans could see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
I've seen a lot of pencils in my day. I've never seen 250, but listen, 2 things are true at once here. Kristen Welker's being wildly disingenuous. Are you saying empty No, I'm not saying that, Kristen. Come on. But at the same time, that little snippet of Trump saying, I don't think an 11-year-old needs X amount of dolls. I mean, that's a campaign ad for 26, right? I can see that commercial being sprayed all over the television screens in a year and a half of Trump basically saying, I don't think a 11-year-old girl should have $30. I think she should have $3. You know that they can use that in a commercial, and they probably will use that in a commercial.
Trump hates 11-year-old girls.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to turn into.
Yeah, and suddenly the people that couldn't define gender 5 minutes ago can now define an 11-year-old girl. So that will be awfully rich as well. If that brings them back to a world of, boys and girls, men and women in 2 genders, I actually might take it. But either way, that's kind of a sideshow and sidebar to the whole thing that we're talking about here, which is the fact that if Joe Biden, now I do think there's a nuanced difference here, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. But and I know that if during peak inflation, Joe Biden had said, you don't really need all that stuff anyway, right? Yeah, I know like stuff's up 20%, but you don't really need it. You're like, whoa. Come on, chump. Come on, Pops. I mean, come on, man. You're not going to tell me what I need and don't need. This is America, man. You're going to ration goods on me here. That would be a segment on the show, and I could do an hour worth of calls on that in a heartbeat. I mean, we could flood the phones, 5, 6 deep for an hour, and we could do we could do a whole show on it. Forget an hour. We could do a whole show on that. So that's where I'm looking at this and I'm saying, framing what the administration is doing is not about limiting dolls for kids. Okay, that's not the goal here. It's not the point of any of this. The point is to say we've got bad actors in China and we need to reset the global trade relationship that will be better for the American citizens in the short term and the long term, and here's why. But nobody wants to hear their government or their politicians talk about who should have how much of what. That's not something that I don't think any of us want to frankly hear.
Didn't we have Biden tell us how many hot dogs we could eat?
Yeah.
Summers ago?
Yeah, when inflation was going up. You're right. There was something like that.
Yeah,
Hey, stick to one hot dog.
You don't need a 64-ounce pop. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying Biden said that. I'm saying it just fits in this category where we don't need Bloomberg telling us how much pop we can drink.
Yes, and we didn't need Biden saying, hey, just have one hot
dog.
One
hot dog.
Yeah,
just
one hot dog.
You get all the roach droppings you need in one serving. So.
Yeah, we didn't need any of that. You got Rex Archer telling you how much cranberry sauce you can have at Thanksgiving.
Boy, I
love Thanksgiving. Not too many guests, not too much corn casserole there. Like, we don't want that. So this is, and we talked to Bill O'Reilly about this last week. The framing of this issue is so important. I agree with the goal of the administration on trade. They have the cojones to do something that nobody else has had the cojones to do because all they've cared about is getting reelected. Trump's got a 100-year vision, not a 1-year vision on this stuff, and it's admirable. Whether it works or not remains to be seen, but I got his back 110% on it. That being said, explaining it and framing it in the right way is going to be critically important in a way that, first off, sounds palatable to the American people, and part two, doesn't give your political opponents basically a 30-second commercial of the president saying, how many dolls do you really need? I agree that we should get back to a world where kids are being kids and not inundated with crap from China. And we're all guilty of that to some degree, myself included. But is that the message that people want from their politicians when they spend 5 years feeling like their dollar's not going as far? I don't think it hits. 913-408-7957. News and you next on KCMO. Not only are the dolls under attack, protein's under attack too. Yeah, I'll tell you about that coming up. 8:35. Good morning. Happy Monday. Beautiful start to the week across Kansas City. Glad you're here on 95.7 FM KCMO. So the doll thing for Trump is not a winner. It's not going to work. Just avoid telling people how many dolls they should buy their kids and explain, as Bill O'Reilly succinctly put last week here on KCMO, explain this tariff process, the why, the benefits, and how it's a win for the American people. And yes, there might be some turbulent times ahead, but there's a strategy. See, here's the difference. When you were looking back to 2022 when inflation was rampant at 40-year highs, there was no strategy from that administration. It was just like, well, we're going to keep spending money and basically trying to buy votes. And suddenly people were like, wait, hold on. When you spend money, it devalues the dollar. Therefore, the dollars that we make don't go as far. I don't like this all that much. Like, we tried more or less a form of universal basic income during COVID, and it totally backfired after the sugar rush of 2021, where everyone was like, the economy's great, and then it came crashing to a halt because the sugar rush of government spending eventually was going to have a negative impact on the economy. What Trump's got to do right now is explain why he's doing this and how this can benefit the country, and not say to people, hey, instead of buying $30, buy 2, buy 3. Like, that is a commercial that is made for Democrats in the midterms. Go ahead, Steve in Kansas City. What's up, big dog?
Oh, Pete, I'm going to go all John with my references. Hello, Dallas. Well, to quote the Ethel Merman Louis Armstrong film, it's so nice to have less lead on ourselves. I was.
You better stop singing, or I'm dumping your butt. Go ahead.
I was kind of with you here. I was kind of queasy about this, but I'll sort of explain it like, we're going to own the news cycle, just like this and the Alcatraz stuff for a couple days. When he says this stuff, people like it because you're giving it to you straight. He's not trying to sugarcoat it. People respect that. That's authentic. That people like him and love him for that. I can accept less toys on the shelves. That's not necessarily a bad thing if they're safer and you pay another couple bucks for some trash that you don't have to buy some trash made out of China. I agree. It's not a great look, but I don't think he really cares about the midterms. I mean, he's going to.
Well, you know what? If he doesn't care about you know what happens day one if he doesn't care about the midterms and the Democrats win the House, right? You know what happens? They impeach him.
Well,
And I know that doesn't matter, but you know that's what happens on day one. They impeach him.
I respect the guy. I mean, for 30 or 40 years.
I do too, Steve. Steve, I do too. I voted for the guy 3 times. I love him. I'm just saying you can't give the Democrats a win like this by telling people how many toys they should buy for their kids. It doesn't work.
This will all be forgotten by February. Hopefully, this will all be forgotten by February. I respect the hell. We've been waiting 30 or 40 years. Every day is like Christmas, like Christmas Eve.
Now you're saying things that most people aren't going to refute. I mean, now you're just now you're having a totally different conversation, which is fine. You've totally deflected. That's totally fine. I get it.
I'm just saying that this is all temporary. He's been saying all along. This is all temporary hurt for a long, like you said it yourself, Pete, 100-year gain. Yeah. We're not talking about 3 years in the midterms. We're talking about Republicans being elected for the next 50 or 60 years.
Yeah.
Like the Democrats used to have the House. I think that should be the long-term plan. Don't worry about temporary concerns.
Well, then honestly. I agree. Then say that. Steve. Don't tell people how many dolls to buy. It's really you're literally making the case for me. Thank you. I appreciate you, buddy. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Here.
Thank you for making my case.
It came to full circle, and I'm like, okay, do you hear yourself, Steve?
I've literally
nailed it.
I'm drawing a circle on my notepad here, and he just came around, and there he is. The circle is complete.
Woo!
There you go, big fella. Well done. Nice job. Excellent work. That's all I'm saying here, man. All right, in Vanity Fair, I know many of you missed this over the weekend, but I was traveling to and from Boston, went to visit my brother, spent 4 hours in that dump of a St. Louis airport yesterday, and I had a lot of time to read a lot of things I might not normally read. Vanity Fair ran a headline piece. Why are Americans so obsessed with protein? Blame MAGA. Your protein obsession is secretly a MAGA obsession. That's right. Yep. So I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I promise I won't do that. I'm not going to try to get a bunch of people to tune out right now. But the article read, from the Liver King to the Podcast Bros to RFK Jr.'s MAHA, Make America Healthy Again constituents, America's infatuation with protein has reached a fever pitch, and it's undeniably gendered. Well, first off, that's not true. Kate follows a lot of, obviously, women on her social media. And there is a huge, there's actually a movement, and she was telling me about this, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. There's a movement for women to actually take very low levels of testosterone to help with their muscles, along with high protein intake. That's a movement. It's not driven by Trump or MAHA. I mean, listen, Trump looks good, but Trump's not exactly pumping iron 4 or 5 days a week here, okay? It's not happening. Now, on the other side, yes, you have men who are into working out and testosterone, and RFK Jr. and his MAHA movement's a part of that. But to somehow suggest people getting healthy and acknowledging the crap that they've been eating for too long is somehow political and highly gendered in nature, not only is it disingenuous, it's a lie, but it's this weird obsession with making everything political, like this nonsense from Vanity Fair.
Over something you just realized is happening, right? Yeah. There are these people that come up with crap and, hey, do you know that? Yeah, since 1960. Dude, I mean, Charles Atlas kicking sand on the beach in the comic book ads. People were trying to buff up since back in the 40s.
They're very...
Jack LaLanne show.
They're very upset. Here's what I think this comes down to. They're very upset that there is an awakening to the amount of garbage that we have been putting into our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And because they have to oppose everything that Trump does because of the derangement, they can't acknowledge like RFK's Maha movement is actually a very healthy one and one that's apolitical and one that we should all get behind. But they can't help themselves.
Is there too much protein in your meat? Details at 10.
They'll miss it. They would rather a world where you don't exercise, like during COVID. You don't exercise, gyms aren't open, you eat a bunch of processed crap, you wear your mask, and then you go ahead and you pop some pills from Big Pharma to feel better about yourself. And as a result, then you become a lemming who is just reliant on the government for all of your wants and needs. And you're basically just a zombie, reliant on the government, on big government, and Big Pharma. That's their ideal world. If people are out there kicking butt, working out, realizing they've been eating crap for far too long, the big food industry has screwed them left and right. Big Pharma's been, they've done some good things, obviously. There's no doubt about it. I won't deny the technological advancements that pharmaceuticals have brought to this country and brought to the world. But there has definitely been way too much lobbying on behalf of these companies. You have had a medical industry that has been way too reliant on overprescribing people. All that is absolutely true. And people are waking up to that. They're waking up to the sham. And they're acknowledging, there's, don't get me wrong, a lot of technological good here. But you know what? If I get myself in great shape, if I try to focus every day on eating a little better and getting in better shape and being in better health, a lot of problems can be solved. Get some sunlight as well, a little vitamin D, and you can be a pretty unstoppable force. They don't like that. Because guess what? Those people are less likely to be good liberals. And that's what chews at them the worst here. And that's what Vanity Fair is most bothered by. I mean, let's be honest. As the parties have continued to shift and change, look at the rallies down on State Line Road at the Tesla dealership. Okay? It's not exactly a who's who of People magazine cover models here.
Well, Large Marge with her lunch lady haircut could tip over about 20 of those boys wearing backpacks down there, too. So you like the senior division in some of these crowds.
She's a real beauty.
No doubt about it. Jeez. Oh,
Did I paint an accurate picture there?
Yeah.
For you? Okay.
Yeah, we all know Large Marge. You're right there.
Lunch lady haircut.
I mean, that's what you got. Okay. So, yes, if caring about your protein intake, if wanting to eat healthier, if wanting to exercise, if wanting to be your own person, if not wanting to be beholden to Big Pharma makes you diehard MAGA, then you know what? It's time for me to lean in a little more. I guess that's the only conclusion I can come to. 913-408-7957. KCMO Talk Radio. Pete, sadly, I'm enjoying your show on the KCMO Talk Radio app from the St. Louis airport this morning. I feel for you. I do. I spent 4 hours there yesterday. My message to the major airlines, take your connecting flights out of St. Louis and bring them to Kansas City because that place is a dump. An absolute dump. Yeah, I was there on Friday for 2 hours and then again yesterday for 4 hours. Going to and from a quick trip to Boston. That place is horrible. Absolutely horrible.